Likewise, if I want to bring in fruit that have already been picked, but they weren't, muksin means like put into storage. For example, you put fruit to dry. So, if you put fruit to dry, it becomes inedible for a period of time. Between when it's properly dried and it started to dry, it's no good. So it becomes, it's muksa because it doesn't have a purpose anymore. It went out of the category of being normal food until it's ready to eat again. So it's been picked. No, it's been removed from the tree or the earth or whatever produce it is, but it's not set aside, not for use. So let's say, for example, I was bringing my bucket of picked apples into town, and it was getting late. So I put it down where I was, and I quickly ran home before Shabbos. And now I want to go back and get my apples. Right, so the apple is no problem to handle on Shabbos. Just happens to be that this apple or this bucket of apples is outside the tchum. It's outside the distance that I'm allowed to walk on Shabbos. So mutter, then I would be allowed to wait at the tchum. I'm planning on eating apples after Shabbos. Sweet, delicious new season fruit, and I want to have one Saturday night for Lava Malka. We have a nice meal to escort, say goodbye to Shabbos, and so I can walk over to the edge of where I'm allowed to walk on Shabbos, wait there till it gets dark, and then go and get my apples and enjoy my nice, delicious, juicy apple. Why am I allowed to do this? Given since if there would be an eruv or walls, the whole way, I would be allowed to go and get these apples on Shabbos. Now they're out in the middle of nowhere, so I can't carry them on Shabbos, and also they're outside the tchum, so I can't even reach them. But in concept, there's nothing wrong with taking an apple on Shabbos. And if the area would be fenced in, either properly or the way that we make it eruv, I would be allowed to go get them on Shabbos. And likewise, anything that's similar to this, anything that's in a situation where it in itself is not the problem, it's the side issue of it being outside the tchum, outside the distance I'm allowed to walk on Shabbos, and therefore that's when I'm allowed to wait at the edge of the tchum to go get it after Shabbos. Okay. V'chein likewise, mutter leilech b'Shabbos toich hatchum elagina litoy shampayis mutzi Shabbos. I'm allowed to walk within the tchum. So let's actually go back a step and just give a small introduction. So till now, we're speaking about something that was outside the boundary of where I can walk on Shabbos. So when are you allowed to wait at the boundary? When it's to go to something you would be allowed to do on Shabbos. But if it's to go to something you can't do on Shabbos, then I'm not allowed to wait at the boundary. Changing the case slightly within the boundary. So you live in the city, and let's say a person has his house one street, and he's got a little orchard a few streets away. It's all in the middle of the town. There's no tchum issue. And he wants to go pick fruit or produce in the orchard. Now, obviously, he can't do it on Shabbos. Can't pick things that are connected to the ground on Shabbos. But there's no problem with walking the distance. So what does he do? He walks to the garden or the orchard on Shabbos and waits there until after Shabbos to pick the fruit. Now he's allowed to do this. Why? Because it's not obvious he's doing that. It could be he's walked through the orchard, because to walk amongst the trees is a very pleasant, nice Shabbos afternoon stroll. Or he's, going through the gardens. There's lots of, I don't know, mint or something growing there, and it smells lovely. It's a nice, so him walking there, it's not a disgrace to Shabbos. It's not being disrespectful to Shabbos, because it's not obvious that he's going there to pick. He could be going there for a Shabbos afternoon stroll. And now he's there. It gets dark. He can start picking some of the fruit. Because what will happen? The people who see him walking there, they'll say, he's gone for a Shabbos stroll. Or he's gone looking for his animal that got lost. It went somewhere. And then what happened is, once he got there, he went there for a stroll, and once he got there, he changed his mind. And he decided he'll stay there to pick the fruit. So it doesn't look obvious that you did it, that you planned to do it, that it was deliberate to go walk there on Shabbos. It can look like you went there for a stroll, and then you decided, I'm here already, I'll wait till after Shabbos and pick some apples before I go home. So as it doesn't look so bad, it's not disrespectful to Shabbos in that way. Okay. All right. Number 4.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
I just had a quick question. What if
Please.
A person's trying to, this is like for instance, a person's trying to catch an airplane flight after Shabbos. So can they decide that they're going to not go to shul, they're going to pray at home instead of going to shul in order to save time?
Sounds like this. In the ideal world, you wouldn't schedule a flight that close to Shabbos. That you need to do that. However, we don't live in the ideal world, right? Sometimes that's when the flight is, and various things. So it's going to be the same concept. Anything that you can do that's not obvious that you're doing it for that reason. So I'll give an example. Again, extreme examples, but extremities help us understand the ideas. So you wouldn't go spend Shabbos in the airport to so you can get on the plane, 5 seconds after Shabbos. For someone who goes and stays the whole Shabbos in the airport, it's obvious that he's gone there to get on a plane, which is something you can't do on Shabbos. So we have this concept of it not only is cheating or not cheating. There's two issues. There's the issue of the spirit of Shabbos, which sometimes they can't be helped because of circumstances. But then there's the issue of it looks wrong. It cheapens Shabbos. It looks like you're being disrespectful to Shabbos by not treating it properly. And it's obvious to everyone watching. So if you went to the airport and spent Shabbos there, so that shows you're disrespecting Shabbos. However, if someone happened to, after Mincha went home and davened Mariv and left the second Shabbos was over, it could look to people that he had to go home because, his wife needed help with the kids or 1,000 other reasons. It's not like in your face that I'm doing this to do something after Shabbos. So and that's really the criteria. Anything that onlookers are gonna it's not obvious to them, so they can say, back to the case of the orchard. He walked to the orchard to pick some fruit after Shabbos, but the onlookers, it looks like he was going for a stroll, and once he was there, he changed his mind. I'll stay here till Shabbos finishes, and instead of going home straight away and pick a bit of fruit. So anything that doesn't look so obvious is okay. But like I said, in the ideal world, if you can schedule for a different time, not to be such a rush. But unfortunately, particularly with international flights, there only is the one a day often, and it's So
I was thinking also somebody once gave us hockey tickets for a game that was Motzei Shabbos. So I wasn't sure, could I go home and daven or should I stay in shul and daven?
I would say go to the game a little bit late.
We were late already. That was the problem. We were missing
then
one.
It also depends, if you're the player. Then you have, it's a newer fellow was a rugby player, and he walked on Shabbos sometimes but that was different. This was his. It was more than a hobby. It was his. This was his livelihood. So he went after. Didn't play on Shabbos, but there was an occasion where he walked to the ground, and again, I'm not necessarily saying that's the best thing to do, but it's done. All right, number 3. We probably won't have time to finish it, but we'll get started. Sorry, number 4. Now, this verse that we quoted before about showing that we set aside our own needs for the spirit of Shabbos. It says, the daber davar. It says you hold back from speaking things. Now, you're allowed to speak on Shabbos. You don't have to make a vow of silence, for the day. One of the beauties of Shabbos is that we disconnect from all the media and we get to actually connect with our family. So you're allowed to speak. However, our sages point out that the inference from this verse is the manner and the content of what you speak about on Shabbos shouldn't be the same manner and content as what you speak about during the week. Therefore, you shouldn't say, I'm going to do such and such tomorrow. Or tomorrow I'm going to buy such and such. That's not really the Shabbos table talk. That just as we had before about going on Chum, what is the type of thing you can't do, you can't speak about? Something that you can't do on Shabbos, like buying something or traveling somewhere. But something that you could possibly do on Shabbos, even though right now you can't because of side circumstances, then mutter you're allowed. Let's get an example. And therefore, mutter loima, you can say, I'm going to such and such place. So you can say, got a lot of people in Florida on screen. You can say, I'm going to New York tomorrow. I don't know why you'd want to go there if you're enjoying sunny Florida, but but you could say that. What can't you say? You can't say you're going on a wagon, he says here. But in other words, you can't say, I'm taking a flight tomorrow. So in other words, there's nothing inherently wrong with being in New York on Shabbos. Or theoretically, if it was built up all the way and you could walk that distance in one day, there would be nothing wrong walking. In other words, the issue isn't going to New York. That's people are allowed to be in New York on Shabbos or after Shabbos. The problem is you can't fly on an airplane on Shabbos. So you can say to someone, I'm going to New York tomorrow, but you can't say I'm going on the plane tomorrow to New York. Now, most intelligent people are going to work out that probably you're not flapping your arms and getting there yourself, but you're getting on a plane. But as long as you don't specifically say you're going to do something on Shabbos, on Shabbos, you're not saying something that you can't do on Shabbos, so then it's no problem. And also you shouldn't speak excessively about it. Don't start going through all the details and etc. But now, so that's number one thing that we shouldn't speak about on Shabbos. Now, he's saying even Devorim B'Talim, you shouldn't speak about in Shabbos. Now, there's really no equivalent term in English. People talk about idle chatter, or meaningless chatter. But in other words, things have no consequence. So sometimes you have people meet, and sometimes people feel that they can't be silent in a conversation. So they'll just start talking about. So 1 second. So they'll just start saying, talking about anything. It's hot, isn't it? Yeah. Where do you get the pants? Wherever. In other words, there's really no point to this conversation. It's just that people feel they have to talk. So if you're asking someone about pants for a purpose, because you like the pants or you want to know where to get the pants, then it has a purpose. But just to, speak about things of no consequence, or, talking about, I don't know, talking about a movie or something, just think there's really nothing to be gained in life out of it. It's just for the sake of it. So those kinds of things we shouldn't speak about too much on Shabbos either. Yeah, sorry, Susie, you wanted to ask something?
You're talking about gossip.
Well, it's not necessarily gossip. Gossip you're never allowed to do. In other words, see what he's wearing, and it's better than what she's wearing, or saying, did he know the story? It's like, did you hear that rumor about such and such? Says, no, what is it? Says, I didn't hear it either. I was hoping you would know. But real gossip, you're not allowed to tell ever. But just like pointless. It's not anything necessarily derogatory.
Pointless chatter is what you're talking about.
Yeah,
things that it really doesn't matter. You're just talking for the sake of talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just, and so that you shouldn't spend all your day doing either. But also something, but Shabbos Davashil Tsar, and you shouldn't speak about painful things on Shabbos. Or causes pain or sadness on Shabbos. So you perhaps don't say to someone, "Oh, you hear about Johnny? He's in hospital, and et cetera, et cetera." Now, you might say it to someone because you're planning after Shabbos to bring him a kosher meal, or to go visit him. In other words, then it's for a mitzvah. But just conversation to speak about something to make people feel sad. Shabbos afternoon is probably not the time for a Holocaust lecture. It's these stuff. Now, even though it might be a good thing for people to learn, but it's something that's going to make people pained on Shabbos. A person shouldn't do his accounts on Shabbos, his calculations, for his transactions. Now, obviously, you can't do it with a pencil. Start writing down your calculations. You can't write, but even to work it out. So at the moment, we're saying to say it with your mouth. You start saying aloud, I can get 10 of them cost $18. So let's see, how much is that each? And, how many do I need? And, start working out one's accounts. This is whether the accounts he's working out are for the future, or whether he's working out, accounts of the past, trying to balance his books type thing. Unless it's something that he needs to know now. Right? Sorry, even things that are relevant now. So, for example, he has to work out, I've still got 3 more days left, to finish building my house. How much am I going to have to pay the workers? But Das is a cheshbon. And I've spent such and such on their salary so far, so how much do I still owe them? You can't work these things out. Even though you're not doing it with pen and paper, you're just working it out, you're speaking through the calculations. You can't, also, you're not allowed to. That's what you can't do. Sorry. But something that you don't need. Then you're allowed to. So let's just say, for example, it's not relevant at all. Just the person has a hobby that he likes knowing, how many euros are there to the Japanese yen. So he just sits there working out. Well, let's see. I've got 1,000 yen. How many euros is that? He's working it out, but it's really of no relevance because he doesn't have any yen, he doesn't have any euros, and he's not planning on getting it either. It was just whatever it was. So that you'd be allowed to work out. But still, you can't spend too much time on that because that's not the split of Shabbos. Because we shouldn't indulge, we shouldn't spend too much time on idle talk on Shabbos. All right, went a little overboard. My apologies. Any questions? All right. Well, in that case, we'll see everyone next week, God willing.
Good, everybody. Thank you, Rabbi.
Rabbi.
Thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
Thank you.
Thank
For
you.
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Bye all.
Welcome.
Good
You're
Bye-bye.
Shabbos.